My husband's sister replaced my wedding dress with a cheap gown moments before the vows. She smirked like it was funny. He told me to wear it. It's what the family wants. So I walked down the aisle. Not to marry him, but to expose them. They thought I'd stay quiet. They don't know me at all. I still remember the way the fabric felt. Cheap. Stiff. Nothing like the dress I picked. Nothing like the one I paid for myself. I stood there in that bridal suite, holding that thing. 4 sizes too big. Plastic buttons. No soul. And she, Victoria, looked me in the eye and said it suits me better. Like this was some kind of lesson. Like I was being put in my place. I thought Ethan would defend me. He didn't. He laughed. Said I was being dramatic. Said I'd wear whatever his family picked. And that was it. That was the moment everything went cold. The moment I realized this wasn't a mistake. This was a warning. They wanted to humiliate me. Break me a little before the marriage started. But they miscalculated something. I don't break quietly. I met Ethan Holloway 3 years ago at a design expo in New York. I was managing an installation booth. He was there on behalf of a commercial real estate firm, scouting designers. He had this quiet charm, well-spoken, perfectly dressed, and clearly used to getting what he wanted without raising his voice. I didn't come from that world. I grew up in a small town in Ohio. My parents ran a hardware store. We fixed things. Saved every dollar. Nothing about me screamed Holloway material. But he made me feel like that didn't matter. The first year was good. Great, even. We talked about our future a lot, where we'd live, whether we'd adopt a dog or rescue a cat, whether we'd take dance lessons before the wedding. He said his family was a little traditional and set in their ways, but that they'd come around. That was the first of many half-truths. I met his mother Evelyn over brunch at a country club. She complimented my dress, then told me that subtle tones flatter girls with working backgrounds. She asked about my family, then smiled tightly when I said my parents were small business owners. His sister Victoria was even sharper. She had this effortless way of making you feel like you'd shown up to a black tie event in a Walmart sweater. She was polite, always polite, but every word felt like a test. At first, I tried harder. I smiled. I brought wine to their family dinners. I sent thank you notes. I helped organize Victoria's baby shower even though I barely knew anyone there. I thought maybe if I just gave it time, if I just proved myself, they'd soften. They didn't. They didn't scream or lash out. That would have been too obvious. The Holloways were more surgical. Evelyn sent me links to etiquette classes just in case. Victoria offered to introduce me to a more suitable hairstylist for the engagement party. Ethan told me to ignore it. They're just trying to help, he said. They're old-fashioned, live. They don't mean anything by it. And for a while, I tried to believe him. We got engaged on a weekend trip to Vermont. It was quiet, just us. He proposed with a vintage-style ring in the middle of a snowy forest trail. I cried. He said he couldn't imagine building a life with anyone else. When we got back, everything shifted. The wedding planning began. And with it came the rules. His family wanted the wedding at the Holloway estate for legacy. They wanted a guest list of 200, half of whom I'd never met. Evelyn offered me 3 modest dress designers from a family friend's studio. I declined. I had been saving up for my dress since before I met Ethan. I wanted something that felt like me, elegant but strong. I ended up choosing a fitted satin and lace gown with pearl buttons down the back. It wasn't loud. It wasn't flashy. But it made me feel like I belonged to myself. I didn't ask anyone to pay for it. I didn't tell anyone the boutique's name. I wanted one thing that was truly mine. I remember telling Ethan how excited I was to wear it. He smiled, said he couldn't wait to see me walk down the aisle. He kissed me that night like everything was fine. Like we were in this together. And maybe, for a moment, I let myself believe that. But even then, there were signs. Victoria had asked casually where I planned to store the dress before the wedding. Evelyn brought up alternative options over dinner. Ethan had gone quiet more often, brushing things off with a tired shrug. Still, I held on. I told myself it was just pressure. That weddings bring out the worst in families. That once the day came, all the tension would melt away. We'd say our vows, we'd dance, and somehow it would all feel worth it. I had no idea what they were planning. Not yet. But looking back, they weren't preparing for a celebration. They were preparing to put me in my place. The week before the wedding was a blur. Everything was supposed to be coming together. The flowers, the music, the seating chart Ethan and I had spent 3 hours debating over. The venue had finally sent the final walkthrough schedule, but underneath all of it, I could feel the tension tightening. Evelyn called daily. Not to check on me, but to remind me of details. When I told her the bridesmaids would wear deep emerald green, She paused. Then said, I hope you're aware that color can be a little assertive. Victoria texted me a list of Holloway appropriate photo angles and pose suggestions for the photographer. It wasn't a suggestion. It was a controlled checklist, masked as help. Even Ethan started changing. He stopped saying we and started saying they. They think the music's too modern. They want fewer speeches. They asked if you'd consider wearing your hair up. Just tradition. Each time, I gave in a little. Smoothed things over. Told myself it wasn't worth the fight. But inside, something was splintering. 2 days before the wedding, I brought my dress to the venue. The coordinator led me to the bridal suite, a locked room with mirrored closets, marble counters, and a faint smell of lavender in the air. She assured me it would stay locked, secure, untouched. I double-checked the closet. Hung my gown up myself. Ran my fingers down the lace one last time. I told no one it was there. Not even Ethan. That night, we had the rehearsal dinner. The Holloways hosted it at their estate. Candlelit tables. Gold-rimmed plates. Waiters in gloves. It felt like a scene from a movie I didn't belong in. During dessert, Evelyn gave a short toast. Here's to tradition. To family. And to strong women who learn when to lead and when to follow. Everyone clapped. Except me. Later, as I helped carry gift bags to the car, Victoria walked beside me. She said, casually, I've always thought the first wedding in the family should set a tone. Grace. Elegance. A touch of humility. I didn't respond. I couldn't. I was tired of decoding every comment like it was a test I didn't sign up for. The morning of the wedding, I woke early. My maid of honor Jess picked me up with coffee and breakfast sandwiches. We were laughing. Singing along to an old playlist from college. For a moment, it felt like things were okay. The bridal suite was quiet when we arrived. The planner let us in. I thanked her, half distracted by nerves. Hair. Makeup. Laughter. Mimosas. Then it was time. I walked to the closet, heart pounding. But when I opened the door, the dress wasn't there. In its place was something else. Something wrong. A baggy, off-white gown hung there, limp and unfamiliar. It looked like it came from a bargain bin at a costume shop. The fabric was rough. The buttons were plastic. It still had a clearance tag attached. I blinked. Checked the hangers. Checked the corners of the closet. Then just stood there. Frozen. Jess came over, confused. Is that it? She asked. I shook my head. That's when Victoria walked in uninvited, unbothered. She looked at the dress. Then at me. And she smiled. Not kindly. Not apologetically. But like she had just won something. And suddenly, I understood. This wasn't a mistake. It was a message. I asked her, where's my dress? Victoria didn't flinch. She glanced at the cheap gown, shrugged, and said, that one suits you better. You'll understand once you're married into the family. Then she walked out. Like I was a nuisance. Like I didn't matter. I stood there in my robe, heart pounding so hard it hurt. I told Jess to find Ethan. Someone had to fix this. He'd know what to do. He had to. 5 minutes later, he came in. Calm. Tuxedo perfect. Hands in pockets. I pointed at the dress. This isn't mine. Someone switched it. My real dress is gone. He looked at it for a second. Then laughed. Actually laughed. Liv, he said. It's just a dress. You're making a big deal out of nothing. I stared at him. This is not the dress I bought. This isn't even close. And then he said it. You'll wear whatever my family wants. You're marrying into us, not the other way around. That was the moment. Everything stopped. I felt the blood drain from my face. My fingers went cold. It wasn't just a prank. It wasn't a wardrobe mix-up. This was planned. Deliberate. Victoria knew. Ethan knew. Maybe even Evelyn. Someone had taken my gown, something I saved for, something I chose for myself, and replaced it to teach me a lesson. A punishment. A warning. A quiet little power play wrapped in tulle and plastic. And Ethan? He was fine with it. He didn't defend me. He didn't care how I felt. He cared that I followed the rules. That I didn't embarrass them. That I fell in line. But what they didn't know, what they never bothered to ask, was that I don't humiliate easily. And I don't take orders. Not from a family that sees obedience as love. Not from a man who laughs while I'm breaking. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. Not in front of him. I walked past Ethan without a word. Back into the bridal suite. Back to Jess. Her eyes searched mine, but she didn't ask. She knew. I held up the dress, the cheap one. Help me put it on, I said. She hesitated. Liv. Help me, I repeated. She zipped me up. I didn't look in the mirror. I didn't want to see what they thought I deserved. I could hear the music starting outside. Guests settling into chairs. Laughter. Soft chatter. A perfect day. They had no idea. I walked down the hallway. Past planners. Past florists. Past Evelyn, who didn't even look surprised. Victoria stood by the entrance, her hands folded, calm and collected. Like she'd done this before. I didn't stop. And I didn't walk to Ethan. I walked straight to the DJ. He looked at me, confused. I nodded toward the mic. He handed it over. I took a deep breath. Then turned toward the crowd. I saw the faces. Friends. Coworkers. Old family friends from Ohio. My mom sitting on the groom's side because that's where there was space. She looked so proud. So happy. It broke my heart. I raised the mic. Thank you all for being here today. I know you came expecting a celebration. A wedding. A beautiful ceremony. I paused. But that's not what this is. Whispers. A ripple of tension. I had a dress. A real one. One I paid for. One I chose for myself. It was replaced, this morning, by someone in the groom's family. Deliberately. I looked toward Ethan. He didn't move. When I asked him why, he laughed. Told me I'd wear whatever his family wanted. A guest somewhere in the second row. I'm not marrying into control. Or silence. Or humiliation. I looked directly at Victoria. I may not have the money. Or the pedigree. Or the name. But I have self-respect. And I'm keeping it. I handed the mic back. And I walked out. Still wearing that awful dress. Jess ran after me, purse in hand. We didn't say a word. Just got into her car and drove. The moment we pulled away, I finally exhaled. But it wasn't over. Not for them. Back at Jess's apartment, I curled up on her couch in that itchy gown. My phone buzzed nonstop. Calls, voicemails, messages. From everyone. Ethan, Evelyn, even Victoria. I didn't answer. I wasn't ready to speak. But I wasn't done either. Jess poured me a glass of water and said nothing. She knew better than to push. The next day, I started digging. The boutique confirmed no pickup was made from their end. The venue swore the bridal suite had been locked. But something didn't sit right. So I called the coordinator. Asked about access logs. Camera placement. Security footage. She hesitated. Said only certain areas had coverage. But she'd check. Later that night, she texted me. They found something. A person in a hoodie. Entering the suite at 5:12 a.m. Before any staff arrived. Carrying a white garment bag. Leaving 10 minutes later. The footage wasn't clear enough to ID them. But I already knew who it was. Or at least, who sent them. Because this wasn't spontaneous. This wasn't a bad prank. This was methodical. And I was done playing nice. They thought I'd melt down and disappear. They had no idea who they were dealing with. 2 days later, Ethan showed up at my apartment. I didn't invite him in. We stood in the hallway, me in sweats, him in the same suit from the wedding, like he hadn't changed or slept. I just want to talk, he said. I didn't respond. He looked at the ground, then up at me. I didn't think they'd actually go through with it. So you knew. He exhaled, slow. They were worried. The dress, they said it was too revealing. My mom thought it didn't show enough respect to tradition. She talked to Victoria. I guess they made a plan. And you said nothing. I figured you'd understand. Understand? That they stole from me? Lied to me? Used the biggest day of my life as a power game? I don't want this to blow up, he added. It's already gotten out of hand. I stared at him. It hasn't even started. Then I closed the door. That night, Jess posted a short clip of my wedding speech. Just the mic drop moment. She didn't tag me. Didn't need to. It spread fast. TikTok. Reddit. Wedding blogs. Run, girl. Queen behavior. She dodged a generational curse. My inbox flooded. Anonymous tips. Sympathy. Stories from strangers who saw themselves in my shoes. And then came the real turning point. An email. No subject line. No name. Just. You should know who planned it. Attached were 2 things. 1. A screenshot of a group chat. 3 names. Ethan. Victoria. Evelyn. Victoria. The dress is too much. We can find her something else. Evelyn. She'll get over it. We'll keep her busy with the makeup team. Swap it early. Ethan. She'll throw a fit. But she'll calm down. 2. A forwarded email from the venue coordinator. Sent by Ethan's mom. Requesting early access to the bridal suite. Signed with a forged vendor's name. They hadn't just tolerated it. They planned it. Step by step. Detail by detail. And they thought I'd never find out. So I made a choice. I gathered everything. Screenshots. Voicemails. The security footage. Then I posted it. All of it. No names blurred. Let the world see. Victoria deleted her socials first. Evelyn followed. Ethan tried to apologize online. It backfired. His firm, one that marketed itself as ethical PR, dropped him within 72 hours. I didn't lift a finger. They unraveled themselves. All I did was tell the truth. After I posted everything, I turned off my phone. No refresh. No scrolling. No checking who said what. I sat on the floor in silence, my back against the wall, the glow of my laptop still lighting the room. For the first time in weeks, I felt still. Not okay, but still. A day later, my mom came by. She didn't ask questions. She didn't cry. She just sat beside me, held my hand, and said, "You did the right thing." I needed that more than I realized. In the following days, the fallout unfolded on its own. The wedding blogs ran follow-up pieces. The screenshots made their rounds. The group chat thread got reposted with commentary from therapists, lawyers, even a couple of family counselors. A podcast did a deep dive episode. Ethan's firm released a statement. "We stand for transparency and ethical communication. We were unaware of this employee's conduct and have taken immediate action." Translation: he was fired. Victoria's school board received multiple complaints from parents. She was asked to step back from her position to focus on her family. Evelyn stayed quiet. But someone leaked that the venue had pressed charges for trespassing and falsifying credentials. The email she sent to gain early access? The fake vendor signature? A felony. I didn't have to press anything. Justice had already been set in motion. I wasn't interested in revenge. I wasn't watching to gloat. I didn't save every comment or screenshot. That wasn't the point. I just wanted them to stop pretending. To stop hiding behind tradition and family values while humiliating women like me who didn't come from money, who spoke their minds, who didn't fit into their curated legacy. They tried to make me feel small. They tried to shrink me into something digestible. But instead, I walked away with my spine intact. And I rebuilt. I canceled the honeymoon, moved out of the apartment, found a sublet in the city, and started over. Jess helped me decorate. My mom helped me repaint the bedroom. One wall, I painted deep emerald green. The same color they said was too assertive. I left the cheap gown behind. But I kept the veil. It was my mother's. The one part they hadn't touched. Every time I looked at it, I reminded myself. This is who raised me. This is who I come from. And she wouldn't have wanted me to bow. Some days were hard. I won't pretend they weren't. Grief shows up even when you're the one who walked away. Especially then. I grieved the version of me that kept shrinking to please people. The girl who ignored red flags. The woman who stayed silent when she should have spoken up. But I also found peace in knowing that I didn't stay quiet forever. That I stood up when it mattered. And even if I didn't get the wedding I planned, I got something better. I got out. And I didn't look back. I thought the story ended there. But it didn't. 2 weeks after everything exploded online, I got a message. From Ethan's cousin, Alyssa. We'd only spoken a handful of times, holiday dinners, family functions. She was always quiet, polite, never one to get involved. Her message started with, "I know you probably don't want to hear from anyone in our family, but I need to tell you something." She'd seen it happen before. Victoria had done this before. Another wedding. Another woman. A different fiancé who got her dress lost 2 days before the ceremony. That time, she didn't walk away. 6 months later, she filed for divorce. Alyssa told me she always felt uncomfortable around the way the family talked about taming strong women. How Evelyn would say things like, "You have to break a woman a little before marriage. It makes her easier to mold." They didn't see it as cruelty. They saw it as culture. Control disguised as tradition. That email about early access to the venue? Turns out Evelyn forged the vendor's signature. The venue pressed charges. She's now under investigation for fraud and trespassing. Victoria's involvement? Not just social. She arranged the dress swap. Confirmed it weeks in advance in a hidden note inside the shared wedding planning document. They never expected anyone to find it. They thought they were untouchable. But the truth has a way of surfacing. They tried to humiliate me. Instead, they exposed themselves. And as for Ethan? He called again last week. I didn't answer. Because I'm not the one who ruined his life. He did that all on his own.